Bonjour tout le monde, c'est moi Charlotte et aujourd'hui nous allons étudier quelques devinettes en français. C'est quoi une devinette? Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Alors, une devinette en anglais, a riddle. So today we're going to look at 3 riddles. The members of my French monthly club, you will get this handout to your email later in digital format, obviously, and you'll actually be looking at 5. So today I thought I'd look at one devinette, which is assez difficile, et puis 2, the second one, which is difficile, et le troisième, très difficile. Okay, so 3 riddles. We're going to look at their linguistic content, and in that content you'll see ways of asking some questions that might look familiar. We're going to see a couple of verbs. We're going to, well, useful verbs hopefully. We're obviously going to be trying to use our cognitive skills to solve a little enigma, so that should be quite fun. Some of these work in 2 of these work in English and probably most other languages, but one of them is a little bit more specific to the French language, so there we're going to see a kind of play on words which doesn't really translate into English, for example. So, on y va, c'est parti. Let's have a look over here. If I zoom in, I've already written the first one on the board. What I thought I would do is look at the linguistic content of the riddle, let you think about it, and then go back to them and give you the answer at the end, okay? Super. Donc, numéro 1. Qu'est-ce qui commence par E? Qu'est-ce qui commence par E? Pardon, comme ça. Qu'est-ce qui commence par E? Qu'est-ce qui commence par E? Ça veut dire la lettre E. Qui finit par E et qui ne contient qu'une seule lettre. Okay, so here let's have a look at what it means. Qu'est-ce qui? Qu'est-ce qui? So you've probably heard qu'est-ce que? Qu'est-ce que c'est ça? Qu'est-ce que c'est? Etc. Qu'est-ce que tu veux manger? Qu'est-ce que vous faites aujourd'hui? Blah blah blah. So qu'est-ce que is one of the ways that you can say what. However, qu'est-ce que, with que, Q-U-E instead of Q-U-I, qu'est-ce que instead of qu'est-ce qui is normally followed by a subject, okay, like je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, etc., il, elle. Here it's followed directly by a verb in the third person. So this is, so instead of saying what is it you are doing, the word you in English in that equivalent sentence would be the subject. Here we have, but if you were saying what starts with a letter E, what finishes with a letter E, then you don't have the subject, you just have a verb. So the subject is kind of contained in this part here. Qu'est-ce qui is followed by just a conjugated verb, third person singular, okay? Qu'est-ce qui commence par E? What is it that starts with or by E? Qu'est-ce qui commence par E? Just in my hand. Qui finit par E, which finishes in an E, or with an E, et qui ne contient qu'une seule lettre. Qui ne contient qu'une seule lettre. Right. Which pen should I use for this? So, we have 3 verbs. Actually, we have another verb here. What is it that starts with E, which finishes with E, and which something, a single letter, or only one letter? So, contient is from contenir, which is to contain. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 verbs. But the thing I think is interesting is the ne and the que. Some of my students will be familiar with this. Ne and a que. Normally you have ne and pas. Oui, c'est vrai. C'est vrai. So I've just bought this new book, which one of my students actually has been using, and he's a fantastic student. Very interesting mind. he has this book, Routledge Reference Grammars, 4th edition, French Grammar and Usage. So this book is one that I've recently purchased, and in it there's a useful section on negation, okay, how to form negatives. And so I was recently looking at that actually, and this came to mind. So ne and que together translates as only or just. Okay, so qu'est-ce qui commence par e, qui finit par e, et qui ne contient que. So this means which only contains, or which just contains, or which contains only. Ne contient qu'une seule lettre. So with ne and que, Q-U-E, because une is started with a vowel, U-N-E, que drops off the E and you get an apostrophe instead. So que becomes qu'une. So that happens when you have que followed by a word that starts with a vowel. Une seule lettre. So have a look. Oh, sorry. Let's have a look at what that translates as. I'm hitting my body all over the place at the moment. Sorry about that. It is a bit of a squeeze in this corner of my office. That's just a question of getting all the equipment in place. What is it that starts with E, that finishes with an E or ends in an E, and which contains a single or just one letter? Okay, I'll let you think about that. So one letter would make you think, oh, it's just the letter E. Starts with E, ends with E. It's a bit more difficult than that, okay? And as I think I mentioned, this actually works in English as well. Qu'est-ce qui commence par E, qui finit par E, et qui ne contient qu'une seule lettre? Seul there means soul. It's a bit like the word soul. S-O-L-E, as in one, individual, only letter. Okay, just one letter. D'accord. Réfléchissez. Okay, just think about it. Think about it a little bit. So now I'm going to write out the second one, which is quite a long riddle. Oh, can I fit it in this section? Let's see. You can watch me write it out. See if I make any mistakes. So I'll just write it first. If you like, you can read it aloud as I write it. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, I'll read that one sentence actually, or that part of the sentence. Toujours le premier, jamais le dernier. So that's the first line. This is full of negatives as well. In fact, this riddle led to a very interesting discussion with the same student who uses that book. So, rien sans lui n'est jamais fini. Rien sans lui n'est jamais fini, car rien ne peut commencer sans lui. What's that lui thing, do you think? Okay. So we need a bit more space for number 3. Right, let's read together. Lisons-le ensemble. Toujours le premier, jamais le dernier. Jamais le dernier. Rien sans lui n'est jamais fini. I like that it rhymes. Ça rime aussi là. Lui est fini. Car rien ne peut commencer sans lui. Qui est-il? Ooh, this is full of interesting stuff. So, let me zoom out a little bit then. What have we got here, guys? What have we got here? So, toujours, always. Le premier, always the first. jamais le dernier. Okay, so we have two opposites here. Toujours and jamais. Always and never. Okay? Toujours and jamais can actually be used in other contexts too with a slightly different translation, okay? Toujours le premier, so always the first, never the last. Rien sans lui. Rien. Qu'est-ce que c'est rien? Nothing. Nothing sans or sans, depending on what follows it. Sometimes you might hear the S pronounced. Nothing without him or it. Lui means him as opposed to elle. So if you were pointing at someone in a room and you went, oh, him, her, them, you'd be using these kind of stressed, like emphatic pronouns. So lui is like the equivalent of moi for a boy or for something that's masculine. Okay? So, rien sans lui n'est jamais fini. Nothing without him or it is ever finished. Ooh. Okay, so here we have jamais meaning never, never the last. But here it translates into English as ever. So jamais, jamais would be never, ever. So if you hear those two together, they have a slightly different meaning, but never and ever are used kind of together. Have you ever been somewhere? Es-tu jamais allé? Have you ever been? You can put jamais in to a question to mean ever. Or never. Je n'ai jamais mangé ça avant. I've never eaten that before. Never ever. Toujours le premier, jamais le dernier. Rien sans lui n'est jamais fini. So let's think about this. Nothing without him or it is ever finished. So this kind of translates thus far, more or less word for word into English. And it rhymes as well. Car rien ne peut commencer sans lui. So, what does this word car mean? It doesn't mean car. It means since or because. It's another way of saying because, okay? So it's a bit like parce que, but obviously it's shorter with one syllable. Since or because nothing, there's that nothing again. Let's just underline the sort of negatives. Ne, un sans. So, car rien ne peut commencer sans lui. So when you've got rien, this negation rien, you will see it often with ne. Rien sans lui n'est jamais fini. Another way of saying this is to put the ne, or this part here, this kind of verb phrase, before sans lui. Rien n'est jamais fini sans lui. Rien and ne are like a little couple, so it's like ne and pas, and it's like ne and que. They go together and they have like a specific meaning. So rien there is used like the subject of that little clause. So always the first, never the last is talking about whatever the answer to this riddle is. Nothing without him is ever finished. Nothing is ever finished. Nothing, rien, is the subject of that sentence. And in that case, where rien is like the subject of the clause, you will use normally ne. Okay? Rien sans lui n'est jamais fini. Nothing is ever finished without it or him. Since or because nothing ne peut commencer sans lui. So nothing can start without it or him. So we've seen lui and lui a few times. In fact, we've seen sans lui twice. We've got rien and ne plus a verb. Rien, ne plus a verb. We've got the opposites toujours, jamais, always, never. Premier, dernier, the first, the last. Nothing can start, ne peut commencer. Because we have rien, you don't need to say rien ne peut pas commencer sans lui. Rien and ne already means nothing can start. You don't have to say, you don't have to put a pas in there, because rien and ne are like the two parts of the negation that you need. And here we have ne in front of a modal verb, peut, which is followed by an infinitive, okay? So if it was nothing can finish, it would be rien ne peut finir. But here it means nothing can start without him. Qui est-il? Ooh, what we have here is a little subject-verb inversion. Il is the subject pronoun, it or he. So in all of this riddle, we have le premier, le dernier, sans lui, and qui est-il? Okay, qui est-il? So that question there, what is it? Let's zoom out a little bit. Just going to check something. Voilà. Ah non. Français. Merci. Oh, c'est ça. Oui, exact. Okay, sorry, I was just checking something. So, qui est-il means what is it? Or who is it, if you like. But in English we'd say what is it. So, have a little think about that one. Let's sort of translate it. I'll read it one more time and then we'll translate it. Toujours le premier, jamais le dernier. Rien sans lui n'est jamais fini. How do I get more in the picture? Car rien ne peut commencer sans lui. Qui est-il? Always the first. That's an important bit. Never the last. Nothing without it or him is ever finished, since or because nothing can ever start without him or it. Who or what is it or he? Qui est-il? So we have this interrogative pronoun, adjective. I can't remember. We have a question word here, qui, which means who or what in this sense. Est-il is it or he. So here we have the verb plus the pronoun. Subject pronoun. So, have we got any more verb inversions? When you say, for example, qui êtes-vous? Who are you? Qui is the interrogative, the question word. Et is the verb, and then vous is the subject pronoun. Qui êtes-vous? Comment allez-vous? How is the question word. Aller is the verb, and then vous is the subject pronoun. So if you were to make a sentence, just a sentence, you are tall, or you are French, let's do that, in the vous form. You are French. Vous êtes français. We're going to decide it's like the masculine, okay? Vous êtes français. If you wanted to say, are you French? You could use est-ce que, which is like a question kind of marker. Interrogative. No, you can't use an interrogative for that because you have to use être. Êtes-vous français? Êtes-vous? You don't need an interrogative, but instead of saying vous êtes français, you are French. That's like a statement, which is like the general way that you form a French sentence, like in English. You are French. You can invert the subject, the verb and the subject. So instead of vous êtes français, vous êtes français, you say êtes-vous français. We do that in English actually. Are you French? Who are you? What are you eating? Que mangez-vous? Instead of vous mangez quoi, or qu'est-ce que vous mangez? Anyway, the main thing is the subject-verb inversion thing there is quite a useful way of asking a question, okay? So, what's the next one? I hope I was looking at the camera then, I realised that I might have been off screen. Right, so I'm going to have to get rid of this. Qu'est-ce qui se passe là? Something's up there. Pretty hot under this light. Let's go to that. I'm going to write out the third riddle. Okay, so that was the difficile, assez difficile. This is going to be the très difficile. Devinette, très difficile. So I'm going to read it out to you because it's quite hard to follow, I think, and I'll zoom in a wee bit. And I'm going to underline certain words, which should give you a clue. Je suis ce que je suis. Je suis ce que je suis. So that reminds me of a song. I am what I am. I don't really know that song. Je suis ce que je suis. Ce que kind of translates as what or that which, if that helps. I am what I am. Mais je suis ce que je suis, mais je ne suis pas ce que je suis. Oh, there shouldn't have been a full stop there. Let's just put a comma, even though that's not technically correct either. Je suis ce que je suis, mais je ne suis pas ce que je suis, car, saw that before, didn't we? Si j'étais, that's an imperfect tense there, I was. That's like an ongoing action or state of being in the past. So it's not the passé composé, that is the imperfect. Imparfait. Ce que je suis. Often used with if clauses. Si j'étais ce que je suis, and then followed by a conditional. So if I were, or if I was, if I were, then I would be blah blah blah. Car si j'étais ce que je suis, comma, even though I don't normally use comma there, je ne serais pas ce que je suis. See, this is kind of hard. Je ne serais pas ce que je suis. Je ne serais, go away fly, pas ce que je suis. Que suis-je? Que suis-je? Ooh. So that's similar to the ending of the one above, but instead of qui est-il, who is it, this is what am I? Que suis-je? Que suis-je? Que suis-je? Okay, let's zoom in a wee bit, and I shall read through this and underline what I think are the appropriate verbs. That's a little clue. Je suis ce que je suis, mais je ne... excusez-moi. Je suis ce que je suis, mais je ne suis pas ce que je suis, car si j'étais ce que je suis, just check, je ne serais pas ce que je suis. Que suis-je? Now let me just think about this, okay? You have a little look. Have a little look at this. And I'll try and just double think what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, this is what I think might help, but it probably won't. So, standing on things, Charlie. Okay, so I am what I am, but I am not, ne pas, around the verb suis. So this is the verb être, which means to be. I am what I am that which I am, but I am not, je ne suis pas ce que je suis, what I am, because or since if I was or if I were what I am, I would not be, ne serais pas, that's the conditional there, conditional. And this is the imperfect. So that's useful for hypotheticals, like if I were different then, or si j'étais riche, je serais en France. It's not a great example. If I were rich, I would be. So just trying to use the same ones. Je ne serais pas ce que je suis. Que suis-je? Okay, right. So the reason I have underlined those verbs, suis, they're all the same. Okay, sont tous pareils. Is because these, in my opinion, are from the verb être, but the ones in red are a different verb. Okay, so the verb is suivre. Suivre. So suivre. If we look up suivre on like word reference, which is always open on my desktop when I'm working. Yeah, okay, so suivre. 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 Suivez-moi. Follow me. To follow. Okay, but there's other translations too, like to keep behind, to go behind, to come after, run alongside, accompany. Okay, so it can just be lots of different things, but basically it's to go behind and actually follow behind someone, you know? So, let's look back again. So, let's look at the ones that are in red as meaning to follow, okay? I am what I am, but I am not what I follow. Because if I was what I follow, I would not be what I am. What am I? Que suis-je? So que here means what, okay? So que can sometimes be used in comparatives. Je suis plus grande que elle, qu'elle, je suis plus grande qu'elle. But here it's like a question word, okay? Que suis-je, and we have this verb inversion. Instead of I am, je suis, we have suis-je, am I. Que suis-je? Qui est-il? Que veux-tu? What do you want? Que manges-tu? Que mangez-vous? Vous, pardon. So, que is a useful one if you know how to invert the verb and the subject. So, if suivre is to follow and être is to be, then really what this riddle is based upon is a play on words. Okay, so it doesn't translate into English because to be and to follow are not the same. So here the answer is a thing or a person. Okay, so I am what I am, but I am not what I follow. So you need to think of a person who follows something. In fact, I'll just give you a little clue. Up at the top here we've got 5 little pictures. There's a colander, there's a mother and a child, there's a sheep, un mouton, that's the one you need to be interested in. There's a race happening here, and then there's a little elephant, because an elephant starts with E. L'éléphant, ça commence avec E ou par E. Okay, le mot éléphant commence avec E. So this isn't about an elephant as such, it's just to show you that it starts with E. Le mouton. Qui suit les moutons? Who follows sheep about the place? Not a sheepdog, but the person who follows a sheep is a shepherd. Un berger. Berger. So that's the answer to that one. Un berger. I am what I am, a shepherd, un berger. Je suis un berger, une bergeuse, if you're a female, a shepherdess, I suppose. But I am not what I follow. Mais je ne suis pas ce que je suis, because that would be a sheep or a flock of sheep. Car si j'étais ce que je suis, because if I was what I follow, sheep, I would not be what I am, a shepherd. Que suis-je? Un berger. So the last one there, the answer is un berger. I'll write that down for you actually, berger. In fact, there's, just trying to think, berger. Berger is a very sort of common, or quite a common French surname, so it's a bit like the word, the surname shepherd in English. Berger. How do you think it's spelt? Berger. In fact, I'm just going to check that bergeuse, oui, bergeuse, doubting myself this evening, is, oui, bergeuse, no? Bergeuse. Is a shepherdess. Let's just look in English. Shepherdess. Sometimes I wonder about certain words in English, like shepherdess. Excusez-moi. Bergère. Bergère. Bergeuse? Bergère. So, that was kind of an obvious thing. Bergeuse. I think I'm thinking of berceuse. Oui, excusez-moi. Just as well I checked that. Bergère is a female shepherd, so shepherdess. And just in case you're wondering, that's spelled like this in English. shepherd, shepherd, sheep, herd, EWS. So yeah, bergers. Normally, just thinking of er's. So there's these little suffixes which change words, and E-U-S-E, like, ah oui, okay, I've got it now, okay, so berger, berger comme ça. I was just trying to think about the logic of the suffix that changes a profession. So if we had berger with an ER, then that changes to bergère with an accent grave like that. Oui. But if we had something like chanteur, like a singer, which is spelled E-U-R at the end, then that is the kind of word that would change to chanteuse. So that's what I'm thinking there. Not quite the same ending. Let's try this. Chanteur, E-U-R instead of E-R, changes to chanteuse. So danseur, danseuse. Okay? Anyway, berger, berger, a bergère. Un berger, une bergère. Okay, so it doesn't matter at the moment which gender of a shepherd or shepherdess it is, but the fact is, être and suivre are conjugated in the first person singular in like the same way. Okay, so that can be confusing. So let's go back up to riddle number 2. I hope you can see me here because I've just closed a few windows on my desktop and can see that my head might have been cut off. Peu importe, tant pis, c'est pas grave en fait. So, always the first, never the last. Nothing without him can ever finish, or is ever finished. Since nothing can start without it or him. What is it, or who is it? So, can you think what the answer is? If it's always the first, and nothing's ever finished without him because nothing can start, well, the answer is le début, the start. Without, always the start because it is the start, always the first because it's the start, never the last because it's the start. Without it, nothing's ever finished because it has to have a start, so nothing can start without it because it's the start, so le début. So that's what I was checking a little bit earlier. Début, like a screen debut, someone's first. Oh, my pens are wiping off nicely today. It's a bit annoying. It's also super hot, and everything's squished into my office. There's a lot going on. C'est chaud. Right, what was I going to write? Début, le début. Think of the word débutant or débutante. That means a starter or a beginner. And now let's look at the last one. Qu'est-ce qui commence par E, qui finit par E et qui ne contient qu'une seule lettre? The answer is une enveloppe. Une enveloppe. That works in English too. So starts with an E, ends with an E, and contains just a single letter or just one letter. It's an envelope, which goes, the letter goes into it. So enveloppe. Okay, I'm going to finish now because I can hear my family back. Merci beaucoup. I hope you've enjoyed that, and if you're interested in joining my French club, just get in touch on the details below. And if you've got any questions or if you know any French riddles, just leave them in the comments below. And if you're a member of my French club, you'll be getting this handout soon. I'll also give you a couple of extra riddles and links where you can watch or you can find some other exercises on riddles that you can complete online in French, of course. Merci beaucoup, au revoir et à la prochaine fois.